Realtors, are you currently concerned about the class action lawsuits all over the U.S. that are taking place and how it might affect your current or future real estate business? RE/MAX Results General Counsel Ed Kaiser recently hosted an event that almost 500 of the realtor community attended. We have a recording of this event where Ed did a deep dive, about 3 hours, into the history of the real estate industry and history of past legal action that has shaped the real estate market. And it's a good explanation of how we got to where we are today and what to expect in the future. If you'd like a copy of this recording, simply send an email to podcast@results.net.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Chuck Eckberg from our Woodbury office. Chuck is the team lead of the appropriately named Chuck Eckberg Group. In funeral services, you're really sort of, the product you're selling is an experience of sort of catharsis and sort of spiritual.
You know, the best word for it is a ministry, I think, done properly. It was more of creating an environment where people can, you know, fully grieve. And, you know, as a funeral director, we use the term funeral director. That's the nice word. I'm actually a licensed mortician. I've let my license lapse. So I also did the non-living side too, where, you know, I've embalmed probably over 400 people, you know, making removals. So it was a full experience, depending on the funeral home I was at. You didn't do it for the money. Yeah. You did it for feeling that you're making a positive difference in other lives. That's what you did it for. And so it requires a lot of emotion. You also have to be a very poised performer because you don't get to do the funeral again.
Right.
You know, it's always, you're always on, and I could be up, not often, but pretty often, where I'd be up all night and I'd have to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready at 10 a.m. to lead that funeral for, you know, 300 people. So
sure.
And then you get back from the funeral, you grab a quick lunch, and then you're sitting down with another family to make a funeral arrangement. Extremely demanding, but my wife identified something with me about year 9, and you know, the pager goes off and you get the first call if you're on call, and talked with the client family. You know, their loved one just died, went through what the process is. You know, we'll meet at the funeral home. Here's what we need. Here's what we go through. And I hung up the phone, and my wife said, you know, they could never tell, but you're a little less engaged with this family than you were. And what was explained to us when we went through the U of M is that there's a number of ways to cope with this. Some people can stay emotionally available, but many of us start to wall off emotionally. Many of us turn to drugs and alcohol, a high rate of suicide in the field. But I was starting to wall off from my clients. And when you become having just a ritualized way and not being connected to your client family, they can feel that.
Yeah.
Anybody could. And so I didn't want that, so it was time to get out.
I'm sitting here today with Jesse Carlson of our Crocus Hill office in St. Paul. Jesse?
I found my way to real estate because there was this thing called, in 2020, I don't know if you guys heard about it, there was this pandemic that happened where suddenly everything kind of came to a halt.
Yes.
And during that time, I was still working restaurants. I was restaurant manager as well in Uptown, but like with everything coming to a halt, things got adjusted around. And that summer, I ended up getting the experience of working a food truck. Where
cool.
Yeah, well, sure. It was a lot of hard work. I was not fully prepared for it because it's very, very hot work in the middle of the summer. It's not like those things are air conditioned. And I worked an 18-hour day on the food truck.
Wow.
And then said, there's probably a different route for me here.
Got it.
And so I took some personality tests. I went on to 16 personalities and just saw what they got from me, because they'll give little career recommendations.
Yeah.
As far as your personality type.
Did you know someone in real estate, or or the personality test said you'd be a great realtor?
Yeah, it was like realtor, and there was a bunch of other I can't remember the entire list, but there's what's called the evolution of a restaurant worker.
Yeah.
Have I told you about this?
No, I want to hear this.
Oftentimes, restaurant workers will start as a busser or a host, and then work their way up to a server,
Yep.
and then to bartender, then manager,
Okay.
and then real estate agent. There's kind of a little bit of a running joke.
I think we have a few of those here at Remax Results.
Absolutely. No, well, it's because they are such similar industries, frankly. I think they're almost exactly the same because it's variable income. You're basically working on a commission where rather than working per house, it's like all your transactions are different percentages of whatever you get. And you have to help everyone that comes in. So easy similarity. You're just changing some words and concepts around.
Today on our podcast, we have Brittany and Dain Johnson from the Classic Group.
Dain and I have known each other for our whole lives.
We both had crushes on one another at different times.
Yeah.
Hers maybe when I was like in 4th grade.
Right, yes, because he grew up on Lake Demontreville, on the lake. So my family would come.
So you just want to use him for his life.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly what's going on.
Right, you see what's going on.
Yep. We actually went to prom together.
We did.
Not his boyfriend, girlfriend.
No, just friends. I actually asked Dain and he said, no, my friend and I decided we weren't going to go. But then he was like, okay.
Then we didn't date until college.
Yeah, so I went to St. Thomas.
I went to UMD.
Yep, and Dain came to my brother's wedding, and so we kind of rekindled our friendship there.
Our whole life of real estate and our whole life in general has been just because we both knew each other's families and because we both knew each other's friends and all these things, it's just been so natural. We were just talking in the car and probably 95% of our business comes from friends, family, and referrals.
So why aren't you the best friends group? Why the Classic
Right?
Group?
I know. Dain loves classic cars. That's why we're the Classic Group.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here today with Yuji Chen from our Eden Prairie office. Yuji has been with Remax Results for almost 6 years, but you've been in the Remax network for 10 years. Are you a goal setter? And what are some goals that you have for next year?
I think we all have the same amount of time, right? And I don't have any assistant. I don't have any assistant. I don't have a team. So it's just one person for me to get to the next level. So I started in the business doing 100% Remax award several times. And then I look at the people with platinum. I go, how do I get to platinum, right? Then I get to platinum and I get it into 3 platinum.
And then you made it to chairman.
And then I said, how do I get to chairman?
Yes.
I made it to chairman. But in order for me to know what a one person capability, I need to do bigger deal. Because otherwise I'm burnt out with small deals, too many.
Yeah.
And I am a wife and also a mom, so I have that responsibility.
And you don't have an assistant or a transaction coordinator?
Nope, I don't have any assistant. I do everything myself. I mean, I do kind of tend to sleep very late.
Would you?
But I somehow have the energy.
Typically, that's an assistant is what's going to get you to the next level once you hit where you are.
I know. But I have to find other way. And I think I'm a little bit stubborn about getting assistant, although I do have backup.
Are you a control freak? So many of us?
I'm joking. I just like to, know if I do it, I get it done. Maybe that's why.
Or it's done right?
It's done right. I think so. But I just feel if I do business sale, commercial leasing, commercial, I can do bigger deals.
I'm here today with Matt Van Voorhis from the Remax Results Shoreview office.
So I left Denver, I came home, was training, and then I'd go play. I played 2 years professionally in Europe. So I lived in Oslo, or just outside of downtown Oslo for 2 years, and played with the club there. And then my last year, I came back to the U.S. and played in the East Coast Hockey League, which is the minor leagues. You have the NHL, the American Hockey League, and then the ECHL is just below that. And so I played there for 3/4 of a season and then got canceled because of COVID. So and that's how I ended up transitioning into real estate. And so what I've found is the guys that I played with or against a lot of guys in the college and the pro ranks, and the junior ranks as well. And that trickles down then to other people. And I think it is, within hockey, it's a very expensive sport. Yeah. And so, I kind of understand that financially you put a lot of time and effort into that sport. And I've found that I can give back to the hockey community and help people make good financial decisions when purchasing a home. And so that's been a big factor with me and how I've continued to grow my business and shape the way it is, I want to help people with that situation. And a lot of it does start with the connections, the relationships I've built from playing over the years.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I've seen you, on your social media, you kind of make memes taking either hockey images or concepts, but just sort of translating it in a way that is relative to, what you do.
Yeah.
Right? And now that I'm sort of understanding more what you're doing. It was what you're just speaking to a community. The same way like someone else who might be a former golf pro would like do the same thing with golf, right?
Yep.
Just like, it's your target audience is anyone who's interested in hockey, Minnesota, has that connection, right?
Yeah.
At least on social media.
Yeah, exactly. And what I've found too is, a lot of this, all of this business is how you relate with people and building connections.
Yeah.
And, I would be stupid not to, build connections with something that I already have in common with people to grow my business.
I think you have to.
You have to do that. Yeah, whatever it is, if you're a music person, you're a car person, you're into whatever the case may be, like you just got to really dig into that. And it took me a little bit to kind of really figure that out and I think every agent goes through this when they start is I want to work with anybody and everybody and whatever. And it's like, okay, but
what's your brand?
Yeah, what's your brand? You need to niche down and really, that was a hard concept to understand until you just kind of, you get the experience and it just kind of works into that.
Yeah.
And then, you have to take a little bit of I don't want to call it a risk, but you have to put yourself out there a little bit to really market towards those people.
Yeah.
You might rub some people the wrong way, but that's life, that's business. You can't please everybody.
I'm sitting here with Jordan DeCaro from our Duluth, London Road office.
My dad, it was me, my dad, my brother.
Okay.
We grew up together. That's who raised me. My mom had passed away at a very young age. And
Okay.
I'll never forget my dad sitting us down and saying, we're going to do this together. You guys are going to be great. And there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but you're never going to use losing your mom as an excuse, because we're going to always rise above adversity. And he's so special and he's sacrificed everything for me to be this person. And it wasn't buying me the nice things or doing the material things. It was more of, this is how you're going to treat people. This is, you're going to go the extra step. And he was in entrepreneurship in a sense. He owned a liquor store right next to UMD, and he was
Convenient.
Yeah, he was more of like we'd go to a UMD hockey game, and they would start chanting. The student section would start chanting his name, Angelo. So he just knew how to take care of people.
Yeah.
And so that resonated off to me, and that was the biggest thing that I took from my childhood is how you treat people is where you're going to end up in your career and your legacy, and the respect that you give to people, the respect you're going to get back.
I'm here with Matt Perington. Matt is a member of the pro team. Christmas time would come. We'd have our Christmas tree, real tree. I would chop it up and make fake little ugly as can be wreaths out of it. And I would take my little radio flyer wagon in Edina and go to all my neighbors after Christmas. And I would sell them these little things. And because they couldn't say no to a cute little neighbor boy, selling Christmas stuff after Christmas. So it was brilliant. And then it turned into, all right, I'm selling my brother's toys to my neighbors. And so this was at a very young age. I kind of discovered, hey, sales is in my blood.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a weird way.
This is William Huffman and Sarah Huffman, and we have been asked to guest host this amazing podcast with the one and only Lien Pham.
John Collopy and I, since day one, we've always just clicked.
Yep.
There's just people that you click with.
It takes a special human being to love John Collopy the way we do.
Yes.
So what did you learn from those years as John's assistant?
The biggest thing that I had learned from him and what has now been ingrained in me is just caring for the people.
That's so apparent.
I feel like you guys hear it all the time. Remax results. It's ingrained in every employee that our agents are our customers and we take care of them. And for me to work so directly with him, because for John, for employees it's one thing, but for John it's a whole different level.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like I've almost taken that on the way John has.
That level, that
level
ownership,
of,
pride,
yes,
joy. Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys know, and it's not even, in my eyes, it's not even just the agents either at this point. I want to take care of all the staff. I want them to come before me, that type of thing. that's how much I care about this place and these people. And that's what I've learned from John the most, is that you have to, in order to be successful, you have to care that much.
Yeah, wow, that's super powerful.
I'm sitting here today with Suzanne Bushard. She is the general manager of Results Title. You knew I was going to ask. You are one of John Collopy's daughters, for our listeners who might not know that. That's got to be fun.
That is a fantastic word to describe our relationship, yes.
John's wife, Suki, is your mother, and when they married, John adopted you and Di as adult children many years ago.
Yes.
And so you gotta tell me. I mean, I feel like, I've worked with him for 23 years, so he's like family to me, but, you really see a different side of him. So give our listeners maybe some secrets, something about John that we don't know.
I really wish I could, but he is an open book, and that is incredibly embarrassing at times.
No filters.
No filters. He has no problems taking out his phone and showing anybody who will listen pictures of us mid-bite into a burger. He has tons of embarrassing pictures of us.
My fear, I hate flying. You cannot fall asleep on an airplane next to him because he takes pictures of with your mouth open and your smushed, your 6 chins. And then he uses that against you.
He does. Yeah. I've probably seen 4 or 5 different pictures of Lien Pham and with back of a car or on the plane.
Yeah, he's quite a prankster.
Yes, he is.
He's like a child. He's like another, really.
Yes, he is.
He loves you like a daughter, and you love him like father, too.
Absolutely.
We see that, and I think that's very sweet. Yeah, we won't hold that against you, Suzanne.
Thank you. He's been very, very good to us, and he has been a very supportive person in my life. And if I ever got arrested, I certainly wouldn't be calling my mom. I'd be calling him.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be chatting with the man, the GOAT, #1 every year in per agent transaction average, Mr. John Collopy.
And how one of the #1 things that I've tried to coach people with, be honest with yourself. It's so hard to fathom people that say things to themselves that they know they're not going to do. Don't say it, just let it go. And so the book is a lot about that conundrum of being honest with yourself. And to me, honesty with yourself is your first step toward the kind of happiness. Tell yourself the truth about who you are and what you want, what's going on.
Yeah. And is that something that you've done in your own life, throughout your entire life?
I've had so many mental health problems. I've suffered from depression, anxiety, chemical dependency. There isn't much form of adult crazy that John hasn't had. And those learning experiences, you do get stuff from. And some of the things I got early in life from AA meetings were phenomenal. I've had the same therapist for 25 years. Why? Because I want to get better. Mm-hmm. It's just that simple. The things we talk about the last 5 to 10 years are so different than the things we talked about the first 3 years, where I was just trying to survive without going crazy. Now it's about, how do we move forward? How do we give back? Mm-hmm. How can I continue to be the man I always dreamed of being? And so it's totally different. And you won't find many people that have had the same therapist for 25 years. And Dr. Mark, who's mentioned in the book many times, I still see him once a month. After all those years, we still get together and compare notes and see what's going on. And like I said, mostly I don't talk about problems anymore because I've got past the anger management. But I talk about what's next. How do I deal with the next phase of life? Because as all people know who are anywhere near my age, getting old isn't that easy. And when you figure out that, I've already lived 85% of my life statistically, pretty scary. But you got to face up to it and make sure you're doing the best you can to live your life the best you can.